Hi, everybody. Today is Wednesday, June 22nd, and this is the meeting of the SIG Kubernetes Infra. And we have a light crew today. We'll still have some stuff to talk about. Okay, let's start as usual with the K8s Infra. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. You all can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 287K. Scary as usual. Takes a while to refresh. Which page is good to go to?
I'm busy trying to, but it's very slow. I'm trying to page through on my side as well to see if there's anything significant. I haven't had time to look at it before. But yes, it is steadily growing by the month.
Usually it's not this slow, right?
No, it's getting the same on my side.
Yeah, I can just go to the page and wait. Which page is good? 6 or 7 or something?
I think it's 6 usually tells us 6 or 7.
Okay, I'm going to 6.
Oh.
Versus previous month, right? Yeah. Okay, I'll just leave it running. We can switch the next topic, I guess. We'll come back and look at this. Okay, anybody new here? I don't see anybody new here. We all know each other. Okay. Billing review, action items. I don't see any specific thing in the last call. Okay, let's go to Rian, matching K8s artifact logs. What do you have?
Yes, it's something that we consider is because we do we pull the registry artifact logs and then evaluate per service provider up to now, and which will become basically just a measurement of saving, which goes to what amount of traffic get redirected and if we get spend reduced. But what we discussed last week about releases, because 125 is going to be the primary release that's going to get the benefit. And then Ben said he's got some plans coming up to try and get the rest to also redirect without breaking the things for people. So what I was thinking is if we have a way to match the SHAs to specific releases, we can do an analysis and see volume of traffic per release and see what is the oldest releases that we're looking at, what's the most popular releases. So I'm not entirely sure. I remember vaguely something that Justin Santa Barbara had a way to, or was working on a way to match that. So I don't know if it's anybody in this group can give us some advice. It's going to be a bit of a heavy pull to figure out how to get that done.
So my first question is, what shows up in the artifact logs, right? Like, are we talking about the new thing that we are deploying in registry.k8s.io, or are we talking about, pulling it from GCR?
Which is a valid point, because of course, the moment we're only pulling GCR, so we probably would have to pull the logs for the new registry as well. That's also, it's actually, that went past me. I didn't think about that. So we need to get the logs for the new registry as well and start pulling that.
What do we have today? Do we know how to pull GCR logs today?
Yes, that's where we get the reports from.
Okay, yeah.
So that is a log that we get the reports where we did the analysis previously. So yeah, we have to figure out how to get them. Go ahead, Ben.
So the GCS behind GCR has auditing, and we can use the audit logs from the GCS to see where it's coming from. The thing I'd point out though is I'm not actually sure. I mean, like, let's say we find out how much we get per release and we build some kind of model and stuff. Even then, like that doesn't necessarily tell us how much we're going to save or how soon we need to do it. I think it's more like if we're not saving enough money with whatever else we've accomplished, then we need to consider doing the switch. And it doesn't really like, we might be better to spend our energy on getting things rolled out. Like at this time, we're not saving money because we don't have the buckets set up.
Yep.
So we're saving zero. We're spending more money. I think I don't think it would hurt to do this, but I feel like the information that we need actually mostly comes from the billing, right? Like that's the metric we're trying to affect.
Yep. I agree with that sentiment for sure, Ben.
Okay, if there's no appetite for that at the moment, and we want to focus our interest rather on getting the buckets sorted and getting the redirection sorted, if there's a later need and people want to work on that, we are happy to.
Yeah.
If we know how to pull the shards, I'll just shelf it.
So I apologize. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it today, so I didn't put anything on the agenda. But I have some topics if we have time.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything else. We just have time. Also, Jay is not here. I was going to get an update from him. I think he's on PTO this week.
Got it. So I've had we've had a bit of a running thread with the artifact registry team talking about follow-ups from when we did some initial exploration with them. One of the things that we've discussed that I wanted to discuss with this group is that if we get to a point where they're asking us to move to artifact registry and just point the K8s.gcr.io at OCI proxy and not have a regionalizing domain for us, there's a pretty straightforward approach we can take for all of the, well, we really could even use it for Amazon, but since we already have Amazon solved, to solve all the non-Amazon traffic, where we can just either introspect what region we're running in or figure out per region Cloud Run config and tell each instance you are running in this region and let the Google Cloud Load Balancer pick the region, and then based on the Cloud Run region we're in, pick what regional backend to hand off to. So we can have artifact registries in regions, and then we can just say, I am this Cloud Run instance in region foo. I should point you to the GCR in region bar, and just always that GCR. Each regional Cloud Run can just be configured to point at one of the GCRs, and it should be able to safely assume that whatever traffic reaches that Cloud Run instance in that region should only be pointing to the GCR or artifact registry in that region. So it shouldn't be a big deal for us if we lose the auto regionalizing GCR endpoint. That should actually be pretty simple for us to implement. Just something along the lines of like, we deploy Cloud Run to a bunch of regions, and every region we just configure it with, this is the artifact registry region to use.
So that is a subsequent problem, right? Like if
that's if they can, that's solving the problem of like one of the steps. If they can change the K8s.gcr.io domain for us, right now that domain handles regionalizing. Okay. So we will need some answer to regionalizing. There's push from them that instead of building new things in GCR, we should be moving to artifact registry. They are not doing features in GCR. So they can maybe help us with something one off to take that existing special domain and do something special with it, but they don't want to make more special domains if they can avoid it.
I get that part. Now, for the image promoter, you know, the first problem is moving the existing images to artifact registry and then updating our tooling to push things to the new
I
endpoint.
think we should do these at the same time, but I shouldn't have conflated those. This approach also works with GCR. We could like
I got
since
that.
we have in GCR,
yeah.
we can. So I'm just floating. How does that sound? If that's fine, then we can get back to them and say, okay, we don't mind if we lose the regionalizing domain aspect. Then we're just asking for them. Is it possible for them to point the existing domain to the proxy instead of directly a GCR?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
Okay, so then I'll continue that conversation. They're still looking into that. I think there was I've been kind of buried. I think there's another update on that. But someone has been looking into like what possible ways could they reroute that traffic. But that was one of the sticking points. Separately, we should be talking to SIG release about while we're moving these things around, that would be a good time for us to introduce artifact registry alongside GCR and start and shift the load there, because we have a different cost issue where the multi-regional GCS buckets are going to cost us a lot more in October, I believe.
Okay.
So if we're already switching like how the traffic actually gets routed, we can start developing registry.k8s.io to point at in artifact registry backends and start populating those in the promoter.
Similar
and then
to what we are doing with AWS, right? Like
right.
Instead of
So
having just GCS buckets fronted by GCR, we'll have the artifact.
We can use OCI proxy as the cutover mechanism to get traffic routed to artifact registry instead of GCR.
Yeah.
So we can then we can leave k8s.gcr.io in place until we're ready for them to point that traffic at OCI proxy. But until that point in time, everything stays the same. We just stand up some new stuff alongside it. And then I think there's just like less hops in moving the traffic around if we can do that. And that's another potential cost cutting, is whatever traffic does wind up on GCR artifact registry should avoid the cost spike. We should be able to do like regional artifact registries and route ourselves instead of right now we're going to be paying for multi-regional GCS, which is about to get more expensive.
Have they given us a time factor for either the price increase or when they'll
the price change is a public thing that Arnaud's been talking about for a bit. There was an announcement a while back, I believe that hits in October.
June, July.
Yeah, that's right. And Google sent an email out to all the customers saying that's the date when the price goes up, and these are the SKUs to watch out for.
What factor of change is it?
Yeah, they've mentioned exactly how much it is. I've got it somewhere.
I just sent the link, but I don't have to read again what the price change is.
So what does that mean for us? For the release team, I think they need to update image promoter to promote to one more set of, use a different API to publish the artifacts.
I think multi-regional cost is doubling for operations.
Okay.
It's from like $0.05 per 10,000 operations to 0.10 per 10,000.
Quick question. What storage class do we use, by the way, for these files that sit in these release buckets?
My understanding is our GCRs are backed by multi-regional GCS.
What about the storage class? Nearline, cold line, standard.
I think standard.
That has a big implication on the storage pricing.
I'm pretty sure we're not using like nearline, code line, archive.
Okay.
I'm not 100% though.
Yeah,
I mostly didn't dig into this too much recently because like we've known and been discussing this issue for a while. It's just when I was talking to the artifact registry team, again, they were pointing out that like the move to artifact registry is also potentially a way to mitigate that.
Yeah, a lot of cost disappears when you do that. even today, multi-regional artifact registry is the same price as regional, but I wouldn't rely on that because Google might turn around in a few years and pull the
Yeah,
same price.
they did indicate that they think that there may be some similar pricing changes there, but if we also move to the point where we're picking in regions and redirecting in the front end, then we don't need to use multi-regional storage.
Exactly. If we use OCR proxy, then you deploy Cloud Region in a single region, and then you deploy AR right next to it.
And that should be more cost efficient for our workload because we're mostly talking about bandwidth, not storage costs.
So can I ask you something, Ben? Do they have some way of doing a bulk copy from what we have to the artifact registry?
I don't think there's anything special, but like if there are any, like it's all standard Docker APIs. So if there's any tool for that, it should work. Other than like auth.
Yeah, I'm trying to like, if there's something better, then we should do whatever is better, right? So we should ask them, since it's terabytes of data, why would we want to do Docker copy thingy?
Oh, I mean, I would think that we want to start having the promoter promote to these. The promoter already promotes to NGCR. I don't think it'll be a large change to promote to some artifact registries. I think the biggest problem we have is
I'm not worried
just
about that because that is like on an everyday basis, right? Like, but the first time bulk copy is what I'm worried about right now. And if we are able to run that bulk copy everyday basis, which will just promote the diffs, then we can avoid doing the image promoter thing like immediately, right? If you're able to do one bulk copy of the entire data and then do the differences every day or every week, that should.
There's a way to like convert from to artifact registry. I'm not sure that I'm not sure if that's what we want to be doing. I think. I mean, we had to do this. We already had to do the same thing when we went from GCR.io for Google containers to this. We just start promoting to the new place for a bit. I don't think we'll need to do anything different than what we did when we migrated from Google containers to GCR.io.
Okay, fine. So then let's assume that there is something that we can use for bulk copy.
Do you have to backfill the old images that you're not promoting today?
Yeah.
I think the promoter's smart enough to reconcile that, but if it doesn't, then we can use gcrane per this page.
Okay. Then the question is, what is the set of things that we need to stand up for the artifact registry? Is it like for every region we need to stand something up?
Probably what we want to do is something very similar to what we have today, but with artifact registry. Right now we have EU, US, and Asia.
Yeah.
We probably want to at least stand up some regional, non-multi-regional artifact registries that map to where those multi-regional instances covered. So we probably want some US, EU, Asia regional artifact registries, and then we want to maybe a manual backfill, but I think mainly we want to get them configured in the image promoter tool. So I think this is mostly organizational / picking some regions, like talking to SIG release. Once that's in place, I think we can pursue having OCI proxy select be configured with a region really. Per instance. We have some existing action items which are the production instance right now, I realized, is not fully configured in Terraform or anywhere else. Some of it is, I think Arnaud ran a command or two. So I have a tracking issue to like get that source control. we have automatic deployment to staging, but that's done like slightly differently. So we should probably fix that before we're prepared to roll anything out. The other thing that would be super helpful that probably just about anyone could look into is we don't have any real alerting around registry.k8s.io. Even if we can't necessarily, staff an SRE rotation or something like that, we probably should get some more direct alerting on it's not responding or something, as opposed to us just noticing when Kubernetes CI breaks or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the best approach for that is. I don't think we have a lot of this in the Kubernetes project today. Prow has had some prober stuff in the past.
So do you think, Ben, that both the tasks to automate standing up artifact registry and the whatever way we architect it and alerting at the same time, they could be planned out together at least?
Oh, sorry. I mean, I'm talking about OCI proxy.
Okay.
Making sure that the configuration that we deploy is fully source controlled, so that anyone can PR that. Right now, I think some aspects, like which image is running or something, are just are no random interactive deploy command is the best I can tell.
Okay.
Right, we have GitOps deployment to staging, but that one's a little bit different and hackier because we also don't want the staging instance deployed to all the regions. We don't need all the regions to test, and it's just cost.
Okay.
So we should sort that out before we're going to be able to move any of this stuff to production. The tag we have right now should be fine. We shouldn't need to change it until we're ready to add new functionality. But when we're ready to add new functionality, we're going to be blocked on. We really don't want to break production, and right now you need one of a few people to manually deploy things. We should get that source controlled and automated.
Yeah.
So I think that's a blocker before we can actually roll any of this out. And I think that in parallel, we should also be looking at what do we want for some kind of prober alerting, something like that. I'm not super worried about Cloud Run managing to go down or us totally breaking the app. We have pretty good testing, but it feels kind of wrong that we don't have anything monitoring it directly.
And it would be, and like you
also
say,
in parallel, I think we can look at how do we get artifact registry? Who do we need to get on board with this, and what regions should we have? Probably we should start with regions that closely match where we have GCR today.
Okay.
And so that's another thing that I think pretty much anybody could look into that and sketch up what do you think we should do there? What region should we?
Rian, would we be able to provide input to that in terms of data that we have?
I think we just need to look at which regions it's running in right now.
Okay.
We shouldn't need to look at audit logs. We should be able to look at, okay, when you have a multi-regional US bucket, where is that actually? Which US regions should we stand up copies in?
Okay.
A safe bet for the US one is US Central 1. I'll say Europe West 1, and then for Asia is a little bit tricky because Asia East 1 is the oldest one, but it has crappy routing from what I heard. So I'll go with Singapore, the one there, near there. Start with those three and then see what people say.
I think we want to try to offer the same level of quality of service. So if we have a West and an East copy in the US or something like that, if we can identify that and match it closely, that's probably a good starting point. In the future, we might want more regions or something. Okay. I'm pretty sure our costs are dominated by the traffic, not the
storage.
Images.
Yeah. So Rian, I think this might be a good, solid thing for the II team. Just going through the process of making sure that everything is deployed from source control, GitOps, and then adding the artifact registry instances, updating the Terraform to add the artifact registry instances, and then figuring out how we do the bulk copy, and then making changes in image promoter to support the artifact registries that we just created. And
we should really engage with SIG release up front immediately about we want to start using artifact registry.
The way to think about that, Ben, is we are not moving to artifact registry wholesale right now. We are adding artifact registry to the mix, and then we'll when we need to move, we'll move.
It's true, but we hit some similar speed bumps around trying to add S3 buckets to the promoter. This is a smaller change, but I still want to make sure that we're not gonna.
So what I'm saying is, like, we have to write down what we were just talking about so that we have something to tell them. I don't want to go to them and like rehash the whole thing that we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have an issue where we're tracking this now that we could?
No.
Okay. No. Step one.
Fresh off the fresh news from Ben after talking to the teams that were doing the redirector that we currently have.
We have issues for the OCI proxy source controlled and monitoring. We do not have an issue yet for there's an older existing issue talking about migrating to artifact registry, but we don't have one where we're looking at doing this approach.
Okay.
So if we can file a bunch of issues, then we'll collate the issues and throw it at the release team and say, hey, please take a look at this. It looks like we might have to increase the priority on these things as well.
And would it be reasonable to run old registry and new registry in parallel for a time or for a few releases? Yeah.
Yeah. So the OCI proxy will redirect to things as needed.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that the artifact registry is there, and then we have the bulk copy, and then we have the image promoter pointing, so Lovely. It's all fresh.
That's good.
At some point, if we haven't shifted enough costs, we might be talking about changing what K8s.gcr.io points at, but like even then, the actual underlying GCRs would be left in place for some time so that we can revert.
There is plenty of things that we need to line up before we go talk to the redirector team again. So let's get that going for sure.
I'll note this down and add those two issues and say roughly what we need to do, which is basically plan this out, add a plan to one and or both of these issues, and then present that to SIG release.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also think somewhere we should probably capture the whole look into redirect by region. I'll take a look at that one specifically. The like, how do we make each Cloud One region behave different and map to a different artifact registry entrance. So we could also prototype that in the sandbox today by using the NGCRs that actually back K8s.gcr.io. Instead of redirecting at K8s.gcr.io, we could actually go ahead and start attempting to regionalize ourselves to the 3 GCRs. If that works, then we also can have artifact registry on a we can do this on two different timelines, when we want to change the domain and when we want to move to artifact registry. If we're doing the domain switch first. I think it's more likely though that we're going to be ready to do the domain switch later, and that we want to do artifact registry sooner just because cost. But we'll need to do the domain switch to also fully capture the cost change.
Okay. So I'm just going to put very high level notes in the meeting notes as to all of that, because I think there's a lot in there, Ben, that I'll probably miss the detail
on. So Rob, my gut reaction here is nothing is stopping us from creating the artifact registry instances and populating them.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start that process.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'll get into the nuances that Ben is talking about a little bit later. But let's get the basic stuff going. Make sure the Terraform stuff is set up right, and then we have enough in there to create the artifact registry, and then we'll figure out the tools for the bulk copy and the image promoter deltas.
Yes, unassociated.
So when we have that ready for both for the artifact registry and the S3 buckets, that is the time when we'll have to figure out, like, okay, OCI proxy, what does it need to do, and where does it need to run, and who does it need to redirect stuff to, that kind of thing.
So I'm going to go ahead and take on looking at the per region redirect thing, just because I want to make sure that we have a path forward on that. Yep. Not even necessarily fully implementing it, but just writing up an issue and double checking the tech so we don't stumble over that later. But for these other things, at minimum, if Rob, if you want to poke me with any questions later for whatever
we'll do.
Capture, I'll be sure to be available.
Let's do that. And I think between Ben, myself, and help from Caleb and Rian, we should figure something out. Let's do that. I've not captured it well in the notes, but it's kind of in here. But I think maybe then I'll take the action. We
have one smaller topic related to that, but I just want to go ahead and everyone. Straight. So Mohammed filed an issue with cloud support about the audit logs that we've been using from GCS versus artifact registry, and they got back about, yes, there are audit logs, but they don't have what we want in them. I have mentioned this in the thread where we've been talking about what we can do with the artifact registry team, but I don't expect I haven't gotten a reply yet. I know that's probably a big feature. I'm not expecting that. So we may need to consider for Kubernetes, if we need logs like that in the future, we may need to consider, are we comfortable capturing those in OCI proxy in some other format, and how do we want to do that? For the moment, we're mostly just avoiding logging details in production, because we also have to sort out the privacy policy for that kind of thing. But something to have on our radar, if we want to do this kind of GCS log analysis in the future, we're going to lose that when we move to artifact registry. That's probably not going to be fixed quickly, if at all. And we should be able to instead capture results from the redirector, but that will be, trickier and something we'll have to build.
Yeah, so I think it's better to do it that way after you sort the privacy policy out, because you can get rid of this processing thing that I think Caleb and has put together for processing the object log details. So what you can do, you can get your app to write a JSON log line with all the details that you want, and sync it to BigQuery, and then sync it to BigQuery and call it a day.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think we could just write structured logs, and we'll need to figure out how to BigQuery export the logs and who should have access.
Oh, that's easy. So Cloud Run will write the starter login, and then there's a little sync that you set up real quick, and then you just read it from the dataset.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like we have a great answer for that then when we get to needing that. I don't think this is a blocker right now, but just want everyone to be aware that that's also something we're going to wind up with.
And the privacy policy, I remember digging into it, and Chris Anichek told us to just use the LF privacy policy, and he said just redirect it to that. So
okay, we should probably add that to the HTTP handlers, and we should review what that policy allows us to collect.
Yeah, I've already updated the issue with the information from Chris. I got to call my son. I'll come back in a second, but please continue.
Thanks, Sims. Okay, well, we still have some time. Did anyone else have any topics or questions? Or
yeah, I have one. So do you remember that issue that I'm working on, testing images in pre-submit? You said you weren't too comfortable running pre-submit jobs on the trusted cluster. So I was wondering if you had a project line around somewhere for cloud build only.
I don't think we do. It's possible to create projects like this in the K8s.io repo. I'm also wondering if we can like, maybe we can run like cloud. Is the cloud build local still a thing? I'm just wondering if there's something
Not
we can
really.
just make sure the images build without having to, like having to drop the push with YQ is also a little awkward. And
I only caught the tail end of that. I used Go for the first time today to push it. It was a Golang app, and just create a container image from that, and it lickety split was up in a repo in AR. So that was super easy to use.
we have some more complex images that need to install things in Docker files, and so Mohammed's been working on making sure that we know those are going to build when changes go into them. Right now they only get built on after merge, but the most straightforward way is to just copy over the post submit merge to pre-submit. The problem with that is where we run and push those images, that's in the trusted cluster and like push to the actual place that we pull images. We could just set up like another staging project and run those there. I don't know that we've ever put credentials for a cloud build project in pre-submit at all, though. They're usually often
No, all I need is, what happens is I'll have a custom service account for that job, and then it'll assume a service account within that staging scratch project to cloud build, and that's it.
Dims, do you have thoughts on that?
So I lost context, sorry.
So we've got some cloud builds that build images, but they only run in post-submit right now. So we don't know if the images build reliably. Mohammed's been trying to add pre-submits to do this, but right now I think all of the image building happens in the trusted cluster.
Correct.
And I've been saying we should not put the trusted cluster in pre-submit. That's asking
right.
for
that's asking for trouble.
trouble.
Yeah.
But I don't have a super great answer for what's the path forward to run it outside of the trusted cluster and make sure that the builds work. Can we create a staging project and put the credentials into the untrusted cluster?
If it is just a staging, I think we can relax that rule, right?
I think that's what we have to do here. I think we need a special staging project that's just used for pre-submit.
So what is the objective of this pre-submit job? What does it try to test?
It does cloud build image builds. So the images in test infra, they get built after the PR gets merged. So if you've got a bad issue, you gotta rework the PR again.
Can it run without actually uploading the image?
Yeah, it doesn't have to upload the image.
Then we don't need anything then, right?
Yeah, but I need to run a cloud build job where it will spin up a job to create an image but not upload anything.
The only other thing I could think of is if we rewrite the cloud builds so that they're just trivially calling a makefile or something, and then run the makefile just within Prow. But that's more work. Right now, I think they're actually multi-stage cloud builds that run in cloud build.
Yeah, I think a staging project with not an empty staging project with just access to cloud build is sufficient.
And Mohammed, what's the job name, or what's the job for?
Just drag up the PR real quick.
Testing in test infra. Mohammed also already wrote a cute trick where you take YQ and just drop the push step, so you could run the builds without actually pushing. But we'd still need cloud build to make sure the cloud build works.
Okay. Yeah, and if you could dig out the PR, that would be awesome. Yeah.
There you go.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I'll just drop that into the notes. And so the ask is basically for a staging project.
Yeah, I've been poking around K8s.io, so I think I know how to create one of those. So I'm going to raise a PR for it.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a look.
So this is in support of which SIG or?
It's for SIG testing.
SIG testing. Okay.
Oh yeah, yes. So it's image building in test infra. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Images that the sources are in test infra and they are built with cloud build.
Okay.
On post submit.
Okay. Yeah,
On
let's give this a shot
post-submit,
and see how far we get.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm not sure about is how. I don't actually know right now how we get the credentials set up. I think we're doing some binding and stuff.
Yeah, I think I've worked it out. It's just workload identity, so it should be straightforward.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
also multiple untrusted pre-submit clusters. I'm not sure which one test infra is using today. That might be worth checking. We have one that was originally just for like, because we weren't ready to move everything yet, it was just for like Kubernetes release blocking things and Kubernetes pre-submit. I think we've relaxed that at this point, but I'm not sure if test infra has moved yet. It might be on the old google.com main build cluster. If that's the
all
case,
the clusters are
I'm not
listed
sure
in
about
config YAML for Proud.
world blinding. You can kind of tell from the names, the ones that are from K8s.io have like SIG K8s Infra in them, I believe, in the cluster field in the Proud jobs. There's also some way to manage test infra secrets for the other, for like Proud itself, but that's a little bit different.
I mean, the laziest
I'm sure we
way
can
to
work
do
through
it
but
is
I think that
to.
part's a little untested.
I mean, the laziest way to do it is just to really keep config and see what clusters are configured, but I don't think I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I have access to that anymore either, but but like they have names in the Proud config, and all the ones that aren't google.com say something like SIG K8s Infra in the name.
Okay.
So anything else that we wanted to talk about today? Going once, going twice. The only other thing that I need to bring up to this group is me and Arno are with the same employer right now. So do we need to do anything about it, or what do we want to, how do we want to deal with it?
We don't, that's only a rule we have for steering, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just want to be upfront and say that he's joined and he's getting active in whatever we are trying to do internally as well.
I think the
If there are no
transparency is admirable, but I don't think there should be a problem.
Okay.
I mean, previously we had both of the tech leads were Aaron and Tim at Google, so
Okay.
nothing new.
Okay, I just thought I'll bring it up explicitly for sure.
Cool.
Okay, so Rob, when you finish doing all the issues, just ping us in the chat and we'll go take a look and make sure that things.
Yeah. I think I'll reach out, Ben, and just and Rhiannon and Caleb just reach out and put together a plan. So what I'm kind of taking on is looking at sort of planning out that deployment basically, okay. and how we capture that and how we codify it, etc., etc.
Sounds good. Let's try to do what we can in the public channel. So others.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the only other guidance.
Yeah. Good signposting. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.
Cool.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Nice one. Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.